It's such a beautiful day in the world to just get out and enjoy board games and nature and just really commune with the world. And oh my god, it's Paul from Shut Up and Sit Down!
Tiffany? What are you doing here?
I'm just enjoying nature and the world around me. What are you doing here?
I'm on holiday in San Francisco and I guess I'm being bugged by you now.
That's actually really convenient. Would you mind just doing an interview really quickly?
I don't know. I'm looking at my schedule and it's really full. So yeah, there's a lot happening. So maybe 5 minutes, I guess, 4.
This is Paul from Shut Up and Sit Down, and if you don't know what that show is, you should probably go and Google that right now, or check the link down in the doobly-doo below. But he is amazing and really funny, and I have randomly bumped into him in a park in San Francisco. Randomly. We're gonna walk and talk, and we're gonna talk about Shut Up and Sit Down, and
I'm gonna trip over.
So Shut Up and Sit Down, like, that started a few years ago. Like, what prompted you guys to just make this show?
The idea was that there wasn't really, board games were great, and both Quinns and I had been playing board games since we were kids. We've been doing like tabletop role playing, we've been playing all kinds of different board games, and recently, like maybe for the last year of like 2010 or something, we've been playing loads of board games just with friends, and we thought they're great. And we both have written loads about video games, but we didn't really see the kind of coverage of board games that we saw of video games. And Quinns came around my house one afternoon. I'd done a little bit of like writing screenplays and that kind of stuff before, and wrote a short film that won an award. And he said, do you want to just make a thing about board games on the internet? Like some kind of show. Like, you know, everyone does it for video games, no one does it for board games. They're great, it could be a lot of fun. Yeah. And I wasn't entirely sure if it was really going to happen, so I just said, yeah, let's do it, we should do it. If you really want to do it, we should do it and launch into it. We wrote like the script of the first one. We had to actually chop large sections out of it because some of it didn't work, and that was immediately a learning process. And we shot that and it was all a bit ramshackle and a bunch of stuff went wrong. And some of it was quite hard work, but we put it together. I remember first editing the Citadel's review. I remember editing that part of it, and that was really hard work. We threw this episode together and it existed, and we'd already started writing the next one. And I don't really know what happened after that. We just kind of had momentum, and we made another, and we made another, and over like, especially at that time when we had sort of more time and less things pressing on us, we had maybe 3 weeks to spend a week writing and playing around with stuff, and a week filming, and then a week sort of editing. So we were able to make these bigger, more relaxed, and probably slightly sloppier things. But I'm still really proud of them, really pleased with a lot of the stuff that we did back then.
Did you ever think that it would get as big as Shut Up and Sit Down has gotten?
I don't know. We wanted it to do well from the start. I mean, we wanted to produce something that was fun and good and interesting that people would want to watch. And that was behind what we were doing, even though we were kind of a bit sloppy at the start, and well, we're kind of casual and sloppy now. The point is to get the excitement across and to get people interested in board games, and I think that's worth a lot more than just, you know, super high resolution, immaculately lit stuff. We are people filming stuff in our own bedrooms and living rooms, so, you know, that's fine. It's more important for us to talk about what we're excited by, but I don't know if we planned for it to get big. We just wanted it to be good, and we wanted it to be about a topic that we cared about, and hopefully that came through really quickly. There were moments really early on when we were shooting where we filmed stuff and we threw huge sections of stuff away because it wasn't very good. I don't know about the size of it, but we wanted it to be good, and we wanted to connect with people and people to have fun, which is hopefully what's happening. Future is interesting, I suppose. Like, I can't predict everything that's going to happen. For a start, we didn't think we were going to get quite the support that we've had. That's been amazing. We talked for quite a while about ways to do this, and we talked about whether we could have funding options or funding ideas. And I think Quinns is a bit more business savvy than I am, and we threw different ideas around, and we're talking about whether there should be, like, back when we used to be a Tumblr site, whether we'd have a separate Tumblr site just for people who maybe donated money, and what we would do with donations. And all of us, like Quinns and Matt and Mike and I, took through a bunch of different options, and subscribing and sending people physical stuff seemed like a good idea where people would get something good. But we didn't want to lock things off either. We didn't want to have like a separate Tumblr blog in the end for subscribers, because we wanted to kind of just make stuff for anybody, and if you wanted to donate you could, and you'd get maybe a bonus. So hopefully it's like the right kind of idea for people. Hopefully it keeps us open and keeps people entertained and doesn't make the exclusive stuff feel too exclusive, because we're still trying to spread the word about board games and we're still trying to get the word about what's kind of still a niche hobby out there. So the future, I don't know, the future could be a bunch of different things. We'll probably continue the subscription plan, hopefully, and every few months we'll have another season where we can make a few more things for people and send those out. And then maybe every year we'll do the crazy stretch goal, really ambitious stuff. All that stuff tends to take a lot of time, and time is always a finite resource, no matter how many of us there are. I'm looking forward to just diversifying the site more. We've been able to get Brendan and Matt to contribute loads more, and they don't just do what you see them do on the site. Everyone does loads of work behind the scenes as well, which is so important. And Matt and Brendan have been fabulous for just throwing ideas in as well. How do I find time? Sometimes I don't, which is kind of the sad thing, and sometimes what happens is your sleep suffers or some other aspect of your life suffers, which and I don't mean that to sound negative, but you know, you have to prioritize, you put things aside, you say things like today is the day that we're actually going to be board gaming and we're going to block a day to play games and write down our thoughts and prepare things. Teamwork's a big thing with a show, and I think what people will see is they'll see videos go up like every Friday, and people don't always realize that to put a video together you've got to write it, you've got to edit it and block it, and the actual filming and recording is only a fraction of that. A huge amount of work at the moment is being done behind the scenes by Mike and Quinns, and you've got to have a lot of credit for that, because when you run a site you've got to do, as well as making the stuff that people see, you've got to do the admin, you've got to do editing, you've got to do businessy things and production-y things, and all of that just takes time. I'm pretty sure we've been here like a few moments ago.
No, but I mean, so that's the show, which is, I understand it takes a lot of time and effort and stuff like that, but how do you find time to play?
We set it aside. We try and schedule things, we try and arrange to get together and play a thing. We play things when we bump into other people. I mean, I'm kind of on a holiday right now and trying to not be so critical, but I've played a few board games with people and I'll be thinking about those board games, and they'll probably like appear on a podcast, or maybe we'll review one of them or write about one of them.
Well, do you ever feel with the scheduling and whatnot that the playing of the games has become almost forced?
Not yet, but there's always a risk of that, and this is particularly a thing that Quinns has been really aware of, and we've had discussions about. He said, you know, we always want to make sure that we're having fun, and he's absolutely right, because the show's about fun and the show's about talking about a hobby that you enjoy, and sharing that hobby with people. And you know, if you lose your passion for what you're doing, and if you lose your interest, it just becomes kind of routine.
Yeah,
so
you just feel like you're going in circles and doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, so we try and play a lot of different games because that keeps things fresh, and we try and, I guess it sounds weird, but we try and relax. We try and get together and enjoy ourselves in a way that isn't too, like you say, isn't too forced. It's a lot easier doing it with like Matt and Brendan and Quinns, because they're people who are probably a lot easier to work with than many of the people in the world. And that's not to sound negative and say people are difficult to work with. It's just Quinns and Brendan and Matt are really good to work with, and they're really nice, and they're intelligent people, and they're creative, and there's never too much like pressure, or there's never too much frustration, or you know, we can talk to each other quite kind of candidly. We've not had any dramatic fights or divorces or thrown plates, and I think that's a big thing. Working relationship is a big thing, and you know, I've got a lot of good things I could say about these guys, so I think that's a big factor. And for anyone who's thinking of doing anything kind of creative like this on the internet, anyone who's making stuff, if you work with people you like, I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah, that makes
It's got to
sense.
be a factor.
I mean, I work with somebody I love. I mean, I work by myself, but you know, there's just a lot of love in this relationship. Finding time to play games is it's definitely something that's tough. I mean, I agree with you. You just have to find the person and the time, and sometimes it's just you got to schedule and plan. But the thing that I'm really wondering, Paul, is what kind of games do you like?
It's a good question. Favorite types of games, favorite game? I don't I don't know what my favourite game or favourite games are offhand. I used to always say Agricola, and that used to be kind of a standard answer, because when I first played Agricola, I really enjoyed it. I thought this is really interesting and really clever. And I'm terrible at it, but I instantly got it. I understood what Agricola was about. But I've played it an awful lot, and I think I've become kind of tired of it. But that's okay, because there's a lot of other stuff I'm playing instead. And the thing is, I don't know if I have a favourite game anymore, and I don't know if I mind not having a favourite game, because the fact that there's other stuff out there that I can try, there's a lot of other stuff. And you get so much variety in board games, and you get so much difference between games. I really like dungeon crawlers, and I want to play some more Descent, which I haven't played for a while. And I think that goes back to when I was a kid, when I first really got into board games, and I could see that they were going to be more than just Monopoly and more than just Cluedo and Game of Life. That's something like for 25 years I've been kind of interested in fantasy, dungeon crawling, nerdy stuff. So that stuck with me. But also I like anything that has a bit of bluffing and player interaction and deception, because I play a lot of video games, and you don't get that very well in video games. The video games don't always do bluffing and deception very well, because it tends to depend on context and you need good AI, whereas people are naturally really good at lying to each other and hiding information and squirreling words away and being a little vague. So even if we don't play the Resistance so much anymore, I've enjoyed the Resistance, I've enjoyed the Resistance Avalon and Coup, and games where you're a bit deceptive, I like those. It's not that really about like what I like most of all, or having a favourite kind of game. It's more that there's usually always going to be something that I want to try next, or that interests me, or that I want to go back to, and that's what I like. It's not that I have a favourite game or don't, it's that I always have something that I can go to and that I'm interested in, and that's more valuable to me. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I definitely don't have a favorite anymore, and I don't know, most of what I enjoy about gaming is more the experience and coming back and having new experiences with the same game that are so different just because of who I'm playing with. So, on that note, let's go play some games.
Okay, that was quick. How did we get here? Ah!
I can't afford any of these.
Are you excited? Are you ready?
I'm having a really good hand.
Yep.
Are we all ready?
Yep.
Alright, flip it.
And I get this for free because I have a library.
Guns!
You have a lot of these.
A parchment. And then me, I had -6 on military. Sorry, Paul, but you only had 61 points.
What?
Steve had 68.
Fine. Fine, I'm out of here.
Wait, Paul!
Paul.
I don't...
What do you...
This was just a friendly game. I don't...
I forgot my bag.
Well,
no,
These are my games.
no, I brought those. No,
this is my
Paul.
hot
Okay, Paul,
This is what I did with my afternoon.